This is a song about a couple of adult people who have spent, quite a long time together.
He's an agent of chaos, a counterpoint to Batman's crusade against evil, a trickster god allowing us to explore the extremes of our value systems. For a character with hardly any backstory and basically one-note characterization, the Joker's been used to create some of the most transgressive works of pop culture ever made, works that go far beyond a fiend who poisons a city's water supply. This is the story of the Joker, where he came from, how his character has evolved from the comics to television to film, and why he's the most important character in the Batman universe, other than Batman. The Dark Knight first appeared in Detective Comics number 27 back in 1939, created by artist Bob Kane and writer Bill Finger. Much of his first year was spent fighting Al Capone-esque mobsters, but Kane, Finger, and their colleague Jerry Robinson wanted to create a more colorful bad guy for their new superhero to take on. They collaborated on the Joker, who was introduced in 1940's Batman number 1.
All the villains at that time were gangsters and bank robbers, and we wanted to use more clever devices for him to fight Batman. So we wanted to show the Joker as a master villain, and I thought it was important to show that he was more clever. It was more in a literary tradition of great villains. Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, David and Goliath, and so forth.
Joker was inspired by cinema, specifically a picture of actor Conrad Veidt as their character Gwynplaine in director Paul Linney's 1928 silent film The Man Who Laughs, which was an adaptation of the Victor Hugo melodrama. Gwynplaine isn't really like the Joker at all. He's a tragic hero, disfigured as a child by his father's political enemies, who grows up to be the star of a traveling freak show. The Man Who Laughs provided the visual, and with the Joker, the visual really is the character. The jester, the clown, the wild card, those are primal elements. For the first decade of his existence, the Joker had no origin story, but in 1951, an early Batman enemy was retroactively introduced called the Red Hood. The Red Hood was an unnamed lab worker turned thief who wears a shining, opaque red helmet. While robbing a playing card company, the Red Hood eludes Batman by diving into a vat of chemicals. Why a playing card company needs a vat of chemicals is left unclear, but those chemicals bleached his skin, turned his hair green, and left him with a permanent grin. Voila, Joker. The Joker's depiction evolved over the past 8 decades, shifting back and forth on a sliding scale of depravity. In the 1940s, he's a devious and deranged master criminal. In the 1950s and 1960s, he's goofier, with less harmful and more over-the-top crimes, depicted with zany zeal by actor Cesar Romero in the TV series. By the way, Cesar Romero loved his mustache, refused to shave it. But as the primary audience for comic books grew older in the 1970s and 1980s, the character became more sinister, nihilistic, cruel, reaching an apex in probably the most important Joker story ever, Alan Moore and Brian Bolland's hugely influential 1988 graphic novel, Batman: The Killing Joke. It was one of the first real looks at Batman and the Joker as opposite sides of the same psychological coin, two men scarred by events in their past who each took wildly divergent paths. The Killing Joke includes an updated take on the Joker's origin, with flashbacks to his memories of life as a failing stand-up comedian, needing money for his wife and unborn child, who both wind up dead in an accident. He's then forced by a gang of criminals to act as the Red Hood in a robbery, to act as the fall guy. He gets dropped into a vat of chemicals, and the combined loss of his family and his new look drive him insane. One bad day makes him the Joker. The present-day story begins with Batman visiting the Joker at Arkham Asylum, determined to talk through their history and end their feud, but it turns out the Joker's escaped. He turns up at the home of Commissioner Gordon and his daughter Barbara, aka Batgirl. He shoots Barbara, leaving her character paralyzed for the next 2 decades, then kidnaps and tortures Commissioner Gordon, all with the goal of proving that one bad day can drive anyone, even a common decent man like Gordon, into madness. Batman rescues the Commissioner, who, despite the trauma he'd just been put through, hasn't given in to the Joker's games, insisting that Batman capture him by the book. Batman confronts the Joker and tries to see if there's a way of stopping their never-ending battle, but for the Joker, it's too late. DC Comics didn't wait long to up the ante. The same year that The Killing Joke came out, the Joker violently murdered the second Robin, Jason Todd, in a storyline called A Death in the Family. Quick aside, Joker eludes Batman in that story via a cameo from the Ayatollah Khomeini.
Is Iran now, in effect, at war with the United States?
What do you mean by war?
who makes the Joker Iran's United Nations representative, which is quite the development. But these stories all took place in the relatively niche world of comic books. The public at large still viewed the Joker as a cackling Cesar Romero until 1989.
Here is Batman. Het videospel. De jacht op de Joker kan beginnen. Dring door tot in de kathedraal en grijpen. Speel Batman op je Nintendo. Batman. Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
Tim Burton's Batman was anchored by the Joker, played by Jack Nicholson doing a Jack Nicholson impression. Batman 1989 featured an origin for the Joker, even giving him a name and background for the first time. Jack Napier, an underboss in a Gotham crime organization, with a past that includes probably the most controversial element of the Burton Batman films, that the Joker killed Bruce Wayne's parents.
Tell me, kid, you ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight?
So the 1989 Joker diverged from the comics in a bunch of ways, but it mostly stayed true to the spirit of the character, a bloodthirsty madman bent on killing people, producing art, and throwing elaborate parades. You know, actually, let's talk about this parade real quick. Like, how did he obtain previously unreleased Prince tracks? Why does he have a 5-foot-long phallic symbol capable of shooting down a jet on him? Where does he get the custom parade balloons that he fills with poisonous Smilex gas? Who trained the goons on steering these giant balloons? Surely he's got to work with an outside contractor on this, but even assuming they had terrifying and garish balloons on hand ready to be used for murder, where did they inflate them? Was there a parking lot they were using before the parade, practicing their turns? Answer, Bob. There's no way Joker is working the phones trying to track down a parade balloon expert in 12 hours. Anything Joker needs, Bob makes it happen.
You are my number one guy.
1992's Batman the Animated Series offered probably the all-around purest distillation of the Joker.
Yes! Another stunning Joker entrance leaves the crowd speechless. Let's hear it.
Anchored by Mark Hamill's voice, which became instantly iconic to generations of fans via that series, spin-off films like Mask of the Phantasm and Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, and Hamill's later work on the Arkham Asylum video games.
Why should I care?
Because now there's a teeny little bit of me in you too, Bats.
When Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker in 2008's The Dark Knight, many people scoffed at the notion of the Australian heartthrob playing a character that was crystallized in the Jack Nicholson Mark Hamill mold. But it's worth remembering, the internet is usually wrong about things.
I mean, it was an enormous challenge for us. And Chris had a good meeting with Heath Ledger, and no one got it. I didn't get it. The studio didn't get it. Everyone was coming at Chris and saying, we don't see it. And the fan community was, I mean, we were fucking pilloried for it, right? This is a disaster. This is the worst casting decision ever made.
I met with Heath, and he really seemed to relate to what I was talking about. He seemed to understand how this character could be extraordinarily frightening and fresh and different than anything that had been done before.
It was a question of not giving the fans what they're asking for, but what they want, right? What they really want, which is let's find a really fucking serious actor, someone who's going to come in here and just tear this role to pieces.
Ledger took Christopher Nolan's anarchist villain and created a legendary Oscar-winning performance that outlived him, also probably outlive all of us.
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No. No, you complete me.
That line implies that the Joker has probably seen Jerry Maguire. I like to imagine the Joker on the couch with a bowl of popcorn, maybe a Cameron Crowe double feature with Elizabethtown.
You complete me.
Now, for as popular as The Dark Knight was, you don't hear much discussion about the film's themes. Just kidding. 36% of YouTube content is discussion about The Dark Knight. There are literally no new takes possible on Heath Ledger's Joker, but there is a frequently misunderstood take you'll sometimes hear people say that the Joker is actually the hero in The Dark Knight. Which, the Joker is a bad guy, always. But in The Dark Knight, he transcends good guy, bad guy status.
And to me, it was creating a sort of psychologically credible anarchist, a force of anarchy, a force of chaos, a purposeless criminal, a psychopath. To me, that is the most frightening form of evil. The enemy who has no rules, the enemy who's not out for anything, who can't be understood, can only be fought.
The Dark Knight version of the Joker, more than any, is there to test Batman in Gotham City. Just like in The Killing Joke, this Joker wants to prove that with a little bit of unpredictable chaos, everyone is capable of his brand of madness. But it's easy to forget. The Joker is wrong. Joker's final scheme is setting up bombs on 2 ferries, one filled with prisoners and the other filled with regular Gotham City citizens, with each having the trigger for the other ferry. Now, writer Jessica Ritchie made a great point in this viral tweet thread. So many people that have copied or fetishized The Dark Knight tend to ignore that the most heroic character in the film is a prisoner played by Tiny Lester, who refuses to blow up the other ferry and removes it as a consideration.
I took it by force. Give it to me, and I'll do what you should have did 10 minutes ago.
Ritchie points out that the character represents Gotham and the film's rejection of empty nihilism and darkness. Our main characters are all dead or morally compromised by the end of the movie, but this guy passed the test. That's Nolan saying that even if innate evil is possible, so is innate decency. Okay, who are we missing? So there's Filmation Joker, Hanna-Barbera Joker, Dreadlock Joker, Brave and the Bold Joker, Young Justice Joker, Lego Joker, Live Arena Tour Joker, Fan Film Joker, Gotham Joker, OnStar Joker, and...
That's right. Welcome to my nightmare.
He likes to have the most cutting-edge weaponry.
The accoutrements certainly made an impact. Those little things, I think, help build the reality.
Okay, all caught up.
Attention, attention, family thinks high toy prices are joke.
Holy one-liner, Batman.
Drop your punchline, Joker. Listen, folks, only at Zeller's are you protected by...
the law of Toyland. Nobody beats Zeller's prices on toys. Nobody. Color change Hot Wheels are just $1.77 each. And Micromaster Transformers are just $6.97 each.
You're protected at Zeller's because the lowest price is the law.
The Joker is there to remind Batman, and all of us, that no matter how much structure we place into our lives, there's a force out there we can't control, that we can't tamp down. But that force attracts followers, henchmen, goons. In the comics and film and real life, the Joker, he's frequently depicted as a cult leader, a Pied Piper that preys upon the weak, the desperate, the angry, offering them a path of chaos and rage-fueled destruction. These followers are mostly nameless and disposable because the stories are about the Joker, not about the Joker and his merry men. The Joker will never think twice about abandoning his followers because, like all cult leaders, it's about him and his goals, not the faithful. Look what happened to this guy. Or this guy. Or Bob.
Bob? Done.
No matter what he says, society's going to continue, and the Joker will continue, but everything he touches is destroyed. He'll never really win because, again, he's the bad guy. And so the only people he can ever truly defeat are those he inspires. Classic question, why doesn't Batman just kill the Joker? The Joker is irredeemable. There's no believable story that exists where he changes his tune. The Joker will continue to kill until the day Batman finally takes him out. Which he did once. But he's also saved the Joker from death, over and over and over again. Because Batman doesn't kill. It's his one rule, discussed at length in The Dark Knight.
You got rules.
I have all these rules.
I have one rule. Tonight you're gonna break your one rule. I'm considering it.
Batman, spawned from an act of random violence, swore to never use guns and doesn't kill. Okay. In the first year of Batman comics, he did use guns and he totally intentionally killed people. That was quickly changed around the same time Robin was introduced, as the publishers decided that the Caped Crusaders missions should be a little less heavy for younger readers. Okay, and ignore Batman 1989. And you definitely ignore Batman v Superman. Generally, Batman doesn't kill. Not even the Joker. He's a purist. He can't and won't make exceptions. Batman knows that giving in to the temptation to kill the Joker would be the easy way out, and that's exactly what the Joker wants. But that's the joke of it. Even after years of killing and maiming the people he loves, Batman still doesn't kill the Joker, knowing full and well that not bending that rule means people will continue to die, even people close to him. Okay, morality aside, the real reason Batman doesn't kill the Joker can't die because then we wouldn't be able to have Joker stories anymore, and we're always going to have Joker stories.
Ever Snickers?
The character is one of the most valuable pieces of intellectual property owned by a multinational conglomerate ranked number 9 on the Fortune list of corporations by total revenue with assets of over $400 billion and nearly 300,000 employees. And is part of an ecosystem that includes toys, t-shirts, statues, drones, salt and pepper shakers, and nightlights.
Not about money. It's about sending a message.
The Joker is going to outlive all of us. The Joker is the most essential character in Batman's world. It's Batman's ultimate counterpoint, defining the tone and boundaries of that world. If it's meant to be campy and goofy, so goes the Joker. Dark and gothic, so goes the Joker. Philosophical, so goes the Joker. Because that's the story. Batman and the Joker, fated to do this dance forever. A child of the elite who's converted grief and anger and billions of dollars worth of toys into making himself more than just a man, working outside the system to save it, versus a man who's converted a maniacal rage against the machine into a quest to burn that system down. It's all part of the plan.
Then why do you want to kill me? I don't want to kill you. Why should I kill you? What I would do without you? You complete me. You're garbage!